Have you ever felt like something is wrong with you, but no one can actually explain what it is? Like you're sitting in a room full of people, conversations happening, laughter, noise, movement, and somehow you still feel completely disconnected from all of it. Like you're there physically, but mentally you're somewhere else, watching, analyzing, trying to understand why everything feels so off. And the worst part is, you've probably tried to fix it. You tried to be more social, more relaxed, more normal. But no matter what you do, that feeling doesn't go away. So you start thinking, maybe it really is you. Maybe you're the problem. But what if I told you you're not broken? You're just seeing what most people don't. Most people don't realize this, but the reason you feel different isn't because you're less than them. It's because your brain is doing more than theirs. While they skim the surface, you go deeper. You don't just experience reality, you process it, you question it, you break it apart, and that changes everything. This is where it starts to get uncomfortable, because once you start seeing things at that level, you can't go back. You notice things you wish you didn't. The slight hesitation before someone answers, the forced tone in their voice, the way someone's energy shifts when a certain person walks into the room, the fake smile that everyone else accepts without thinking twice. You see it instantly, and at first you might ignore it, but over time you realize something. Most people aren't paying attention. They're reacting. You're observing. And that creates distance. Not because you want it, but because you can't turn it off. And that's exhausting. Your brain doesn't rest the way other people's do. You overthink everything, not just big decisions, small things too. A message that sounded slightly off, a pause that lasted half a second too long, a look that didn't match the words being said. Your mind grabs onto it and doesn't let go. It starts analyzing, breaking it down, running scenarios, trying to understand what it really meant. Psychology calls this deep processing, but it doesn't feel like intelligence. It feels like noise, like your brain is constantly running in the background, even when you just want peace. And that's why silence feels different to you. Most people are uncomfortable in silence. They need distraction, noise, conversation, something to fill the space. But you need silence because it's the only place where your mind finally slows down enough to breathe. It's the only place where you don't feel overwhelmed by everything you're picking up. And then there's something even more important. You don't trust easily, not because you're cold, not because you're distant, but because you've seen too much. You've seen patterns repeat. You've seen people say one thing and do another. You've watched how quickly someone can switch when it benefits them. You've seen how temporary most connections actually are. And your brain adapted. It learned. It started protecting you before you even realized what it was doing. That's not avoidance. That's pattern recognition. But here's the part nobody talks about. The same thing that protects you also isolates you. Because once you see patterns clearly, you stop giving people the benefit of the doubt. You stop ignoring red flags. You stop pretending not to notice things. And suddenly connection becomes harder. Not impossible, but rare. Because now it takes more to feel safe, more to feel real, more to feel worth it. And that's why small talk feels unbearable. You don't want surface-level conversations. You don't want empty words. You don't want predictable interactions. You want something real, something honest, something that actually means something. But most people don't live there. They stay on the surface, and you can feel it. So you sit there, nodding, responding, playing along while your mind slowly disconnects. And people misread that. They call you quiet. They say you're distant. They think you're hard to read. But they don't understand what's actually happening. You're not disengaged. You're overwhelmed. You're processing more information than they are, more signals, more emotions, more meaning behind everything. And it drains you. This is where it gets deeper. You don't just think more, you feel more. You pick up on emotions that aren't even being expressed. You walk into a room and instantly feel tension, awkwardness, discomfort, something off that no one is saying out loud. And while others ignore it, you absorb it. Neuroscience shows that some people have higher emotional sensitivity, which means your brain is literally taking in more data than average, more subtle cues, more emotional signals, more layers of information. And while that gives you awareness, it also comes with a cost. Because when you feel more, you get overwhelmed faster. That's why you need space. That's why you pull back. That's why sometimes you disappear without explaining. Not because you don't care, but because your system needs to reset. Because if you don't step away, everything becomes too much. And then there's something even deeper than all of this. You doubt yourself constantly. You question your thoughts, your decisions, your place in the world. It feels like insecurity, but it's not what you think it is. Psychology shows something most people never realize. The more aware someone is, the more they understand how complex everything actually is, and the harder it becomes to feel certain about anything. Confidence is simple. It comes from seeing less. Awareness is heavy because you see more angles, more possibilities, more outcomes. So if you constantly question yourself, it might not be weakness. It might be awareness. And that leads to a truth most people never accept. You were never meant to feel like everyone else. Because you're not built for surface-level living. You're built for depth, for patterns, for meaning, for understanding things that most people don't even notice. And in a world that rewards simplicity, that makes you feel out of place. But here's where everything shifts. Being different isn't the problem. Forcing yourself to be the same is. Because the moment you stop trying to fit into a world that doesn't match how your mind works, everything changes. You stop chasing conversations that drain you. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never trying to understand you. You stop shrinking your thoughts just to make others comfortable. And for the first time, you start to see it clearly. You were never behind. You were never too much. You were never the problem. You were just operating on a level most people don't reach. And if you've been watching this, recognizing yourself in everything that's been said, feeling like someone finally put into words what you've been experiencing your whole life, that's not random. That means something. That means you're aware. And most people never get there.